All right, special edition. I'm Uncle Mike.
I'm Ty.
And we are the Sports Car. Ty is my nephew. He's visiting from Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
You're a big Formula One fan, right?
Yes.
How long have you been watching now? A couple of years?
Yeah, like 4 years.
3 or 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to give us the special Sports Car Formula One edition update.
All right, so let's talk about like the car, like how it progressed from last season.
Okay.
Like so over the cockpit, like that's where the driver sits. It has this big like carbon fiber ring around it. They call that the halo ring.
It goes right above here, right?
Yeah, like
more
but like more around,
close. Yeah.
more around your face.
That's for safety, right?
Yeah. So like it like protects like big like tire, like it protects things like big tires or any like most big things. So.
Doesn't the front end and the halo go right down the center of the car?
Mm-hmm. It's a little hard to see.
Yeah, it must be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have camera angles from the driver's point of view?
So the only cameras are it's required that they have cameras on top of the car.
Okay.
And they had to weigh that because they have to make it all the same weight and everything because they don't want the other cars having a lesser weight.
A weight advantage. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And like sometimes if they'll have cameras on the side for the team's purpose so they can see like maybe if like the side panel comes off they need to retire the car and everything.
Okay. So what's been the most exciting or most surprising part of the Formula One season so far? Who's leading, by the way?
I think the constructors championship is Mercedes.
Okay.
And then it goes the three biggest teams: Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull.
Okay. And we had a bet at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah. So whoever wins the world championship, I think it is.
And you were supporting Mercedes, and I was supporting Ferrari, wasn't
yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
So you're winning that so far.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think the biggest I love when in Monaco this season Daniel Ricciardo win,
Mm-hmm.
and if you go back to 2015, his team they told him to go into the pit,
mm-hmm.
but they didn't have the tires ready, so he was in first place, but he lost.
Oh, because of the bad pit stop.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he was mad because he didn't call himself in; they called him in.
Oh.
And so he wanted to win there because he lost. He got second place, but then he lost. So he won this season. He won there in this season, 2018.
Wow, that's cool. So that's the most exciting race for you so far
Mm-hmm.
this season. So in terms of the drivers' championships, how are we doing?
Mercedes on top.
What are the drivers?
Lewis Hamilton. And
Again?
then yep. He's actually today as we're filming this, they are racing in Paul Ricard in France.
Okay.
And he just got pole for qualifying.
Oh.
So
He might go down as one of the best drivers ever, you think?
Yeah.
How many championships does he have now?
he's
3?
Yeah, he's been over 3 and he's been breaking a bunch of Michael Schumacher's records that he set.
Yeah, you weren't watching when Schumacher was around. That was before your time.
Yeah.
But Lewis Hamilton, when he came onto the scene, he was like this young kid, and he was immediately fast.
Yeah, and he kind of his dad, he has a lot of family support. Like his dad helped him a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like most of the drivers have most of the drivers are family.
Okay.
Because if you look at Max Verstappen, his dad actually raced with Formula One.
Okay.
And Max Verstappen kind of looked up to his dad and was like, "Oh, I want to be an F1 driver."
Oh, his dad was Jens Verstappen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, that's my hero. All right, cool. So I sent you a video about another class of racing.
Yes.
LMP racing,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically the 24-hour Le Mans. What do you think of it?
It's pretty cool. I mean, the cars are so different. If you compare the cars from F1 to
LMP.
yeah, there's a lot more different. The cars go faster. F1 they have a lot of restrictions that the manufacturer cannot do all these things to the engine and everything.
Weight limits and power limits.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that.
In Formula One, if you change your gearbox, and on that race day, you have to go back 5 positions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think you should watch a little bit of
LMP.
LMP, that kind of the prototype racing. It's a different thing altogether because the races are typically longer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because unlike Formula One, where there's only one class of cars running in a race at the same in a race.
Yeah.
In the prototype racing, it's endurance racing. So you have the LMP prototypes, and you have all these variations of street-based cars. So you'll have these LMP Porsche prototypes and Toyota prototypes running up against Corvettes and Porsche 911s and things like that. And of course, the prototypes are the fastest, but you have all these cars on at the same time. So give that a watch. And MotoGP, I'm telling you, you watch one race and you're going to be like, holy cow, these guys are crazy.
Okay.
You're going to be like, they actually travel slower than a Formula One car. If you compare tracks and lap times of a MotoGP motorcycle versus a Formula One motorcycle, the Formula One car will always be faster.
Yeah.
But the MotoGP rider, I think, is having more fun.
Because in Formula One, they have 5 days of they have 3 days of practice, 1 day of qualifying, and 1 day of race, and then they're gone.
How many days of practice?
They have 3 days.
3 days of practice. Okay, and then 1 day of qualifying and 1 day of race. So it's a 5 day. It's a 5 day weekend. See, in MotoGP, it's typically Friday practice, Saturday morning practice, Saturday afternoon qualifying, Sunday race.
Yep.
So back in 2001, I actually went to Spain I went to Jerez. I don't know, do they run Formula One in Jerez?
I don't think it's Jerez, but I think they do it in Spain.
In Spain. So I went to Jerez to watch a MotoGP race. Back then it was called the Grand Prix, the motorcycle Grand Prix race. Coolest thing I ever did. So you got to make sure that at some point in your life you go watch a Formula One race.
Yep.
There's a couple here in the U.S., right?
Yeah. There's only one.
In Austin.
Austin, Texas. Yeah.
You go see Austin, and then go to Europe and see one.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to go to Europe to see one.
Okay, make that happen.
All right.
All right.
All right.
So, thank you for watching this edition of the Formula One edition of the Sports Car. Again, your name?
Ty Flores.
And I'm Uncle Mike, and we are
the Sports Car.